Howdy, folks. It's Dr. Jeff Camarda, Friday, February 12th, and a happy Valentine's Day weekend to you all. I've got to apologize. This is my second time this week recording this video. We had a tech glitch, streaming interrupt us, I guess, yesterday. So sorry for the, I wanted to get this out for you Thursday night, but hopefully you'll have a chance to take a look at it over the weekend. So a happy and auspicious weekend. Besides Valentine's Day, I'm very pleased to report that I celebrate my 20th wedding anniversary to my wonderful wife and partner, Kimberly, this weekend. Valentine's Day was actually turned out to be a pretty poor choice of wedding days for certainly for dinner reservations and buying flowers, but oh well, I guess we are married to it now. And also the 50th birthday of my middle brother, Jonathan. Happy birthday, Johnny, wherever you are, Jacksonville Beach or Ocala. So got a lot to cover here, and forgive the length. But the first is, I just want to emphasize that in our view, not just our view, taxes are going up, becoming more onerous. The IRS will almost certainly be better funded and become more aggressive and have more time to look and investigate. And the short of it is, that for a variety of reasons, taxes are, I think, going to become an even worse problem. And the difference between getting really good tax advice and getting average tax advice is phenomenal. So this is something that TaxMaster is really, really good at. And to the extent you have an interest in considering using us for our taxes, I think you will be amazed and delighted at how much we can save you. So we're happy to help as we get into tax season. We are getting pretty busy. I've added actually some incredible additional professionals on that team, in addition to myself and Veronica and Doug. And we're happy to accommodate you. Just let us know that you want to place for that service. The second thing that I want to continue with is TaxMaster's expertise also extends to estate planning. And if your net worth is more than low millions, a couple of millions of dollars, or if you are young and not worth that much yet, but expect to get wealthier as you go through life, you really should take another look at estate tax control. Most of these estate plans that we have seen, and even many that we've created over the past 10 years before the law was fixing to change, do not address estate taxes. But these probably will become very, very onerous and expose most of the families that use us and watch these videos. So if you haven't redone or reviewed your estate plan, your trusts in recent years, particularly with an eye toward estate tax control, it's definitely something you want to ask your personal wealth advisor at Camarda to tee up, as well as getting income tax done now that we're in tax season. The last thing I want to talk about in the TaxMaster domain is asset protection planning, and that's where some assets are exposed, and it's pretty much everything besides your Florida homestead or your retirement plans like IRAs and 401ks are exposed to attack by financial predators like lawsuits. And we've got one client I was alerted to over the past week. They shall remain nameless. If they're watching, you know who you are. That I've been preaching asset protection planning to for years. Well, nothing's going to happen, low risk, I don't take any chances, don't drive much anymore, whatever. And unfortunately, somebody fell down near their property close enough that they called one of the major ambulance chasing firms in Jacksonville. And now we got a big problem. Dancing room is really, really quite limited if you don't take the appropriate precautionary measures before a threat appears. And I still got a couple of tricks up my sleeve, but I'd rather that we did it right, before this problem. So if you have assets, significant assets like bank accounts, brokerage accounts, and rental real estate that's not your home, that are outside of your homestead or your or retirement accounts, you might want to ask your personal wealth advisor to have a free asset protection plan review by the TaxMaster team. All right, that's pretty much the last thing on this. I promise the last thing. We did a really, really good class on advanced estate planning and estate tax control with my friend and longtime colleague and co-client, Florida super lawyer, board certified John Crawford, who's just outstanding on the tax master team. He went to University of Florida, which, by the way, I was depressed to learn is like the number 4 law school in the country for tax. Of course, I'm going to Georgetown. That's number 2, or sometimes number 1 after they fight out with NYU. But in any event, please watch that class. And Rick, if you make sure you push the link, just a straight link, not the one with the landing page out, with this video so people can get a look at it. All right, so that's it. There's a number of articles I want to kind of review. As you know, I read the financial and other press diligently every day. And the first one from the Journal yesterday, actually, retirement planning gives bigger role, actually this morning, bigger role to theft prevention as risks lurk online. And this is something a lot of us don't think about, but here's the lady, the story is out a couple $100,000 because somebody was able to dupe the retirement, the record keeper where the 401k was, into saying that they were her and convinced them to send a big check to an account that was not hers. And the record keeper say, hey, it's not our fault. You know, you had the opportunity to have a stronger password, whatever. So this will probably go in court. But you need to be very, very careful. Those of you that had TD accounts with us or 401ks elsewhere or accounts at Merrill Lynch or banks or whatever, you really got to be very careful to make sure that you lock it up as tight as possible, and be very careful about the emails that you get. We get phishing attacks every day that look more and more legitimate. And sometimes if I get one that I'm not actually sure about, I had one today. I said, okay, what's this about? And the responded immediately as if it was a real person. Well, you just need to open the attachment to see. I'm like, you know what? I don't trust you. You convince me that we have business together, and otherwise I'm just going to delete it. You got to be careful. All right, moving on. New York Times, sorry about that, but important news there. Despite New York Times, why Chuck Schumer is cozying up to the AOC wing of his party. The short of this story is, despite our hopes that the Democrat Party in power would be middle of the road and more moderate, there are very, very strong forces to pull the entire party to the left for reasons I won't bore you with or offend you with now. But the short of it is, this means more tax the rich initiatives. And to the extent that the Democrat Party becomes more polarized and more socialist leaning, tax rates and other unpleasant circumstances may go up. And it looks like while Schumer himself is a pretty moderate guy, in order for him to maintain his career, he may have to cave to some of these concerns. So again, another reason to expect legislation sooner rather than later that kind of targets the kind of folks that watch these videos. Also, this is from the Journal, I think, as COVID-19 vaccines raise hope, cold reality dawns that illness is likely here to stay, ease of transmission, new strains, limits of vaccination programs all mean COVID-19 will be around for years. More of a seasonal flu kind of malady, unfortunately, a lot more deadly if you have the wrong card hand of DNA. So get vaccinated when you can. Get on a waiting list if you're too young, like I am. And be very, very careful. And sadly, I think we need to plan to live with this for the long term. I'd hope that many of you have that, it'd be when it's done with the vaccines, but to the extent that it mutates faster, then we're able to inoculate the entire population. Looks like it's going to be around for a long time. As you know, for some long time now, a year or so, or really certainly for 10 months, I felt that, stocks were in very, very bubbly conditions. And while that may continue for a long time, and we develop protocols, and I'm very happy with the results in order to profit, with a very close eye and dancing on top of the bubble and with the hope that we get out before it collapses. We are clearly in bubble-like conditions. And there are articles like this in the financial press nearly every day. And here's one from the Journal a couple days ago. Is GameStop a bubble? History, spectacular crashes from tulips to beanie babies. What goes up must come down. Bubbles have boosted and burned investors for centuries. And we go into a whole litany of past bubbles, beginning with probably the most familiar, the Dutch tulip mania but be wary, and there's so much speculation going on, and Trump and puffed up prices that it really is only a matter of time. Next month, later this year, next year, I'm not really sure, but it is inevitable that we'll see probably the mother of all corrections and maybe the mother of all bear markets before it's all over. And the final thing I want to bore you with is this last article from the Journal. Want a bigger stimulus check? Consider filing your tax return early. This is pretty important. If you expect to qualify for the new round of stimulus, they're going to base the size of your payments on your income. And if the most recent income they have is your filed 2019 tax return, they'll base it on that. Many of you had lower income in 2020, especially if your job was impacted severely by the COVID crisis. So the advice is, if your 2020 income was lower and you expect to qualify for the stimulus check, get that tax return in now, because then they'll use the 2020 number, which should qualify you for a higher check. But that aside, the way TaxMaster, I'm saying it back to TaxMaster and we'll wrap it up. The way TaxMaster runs its an operation, we're more of a boutique family office, deeply intellectual, strategic tax advisor and preparer. We really don't want to scramble to get it in by April 15th unless there's some overwhelming reason for expediency, like, with a stimulus check. It really is better to take our time, do it methodically, and, and pretty much get in the habit of filing extensions to give us more time to do a good job and to balance workloads. I, for instance, I've filed extensions. I've been on extensions since the 90s, maybe early, for decades and decades. And I find it a much better way to go. So those of you that use TaxMaster or just starting to use TaxMaster, try to get off the itchy trigger finger perspective and into more of a methodical, let's really get it done right approach. And the last thing, I know there's other last, but my youngest brother Michael, who's a Yale man, poor devil, as you know, that's from Jim Backus and Gilligan's Island. Howell, I think his name was, who would refer to, he went to Harvard, and so the guy that went to Yale was a poor devil, right? That's where the joke comes from. But anyway, this is a Facebook snip that Michael posted a few days ago. And Michael, very bright guy, got a master's degree, and his degree was in history from Yale. And he posts, the NASDAQ is up 100% in less than a year. The last time it gained anything like that in a 12-month period was 1999, when it was up 86%, before a roughly 75% decline over the next 3 years came with the bursting of the tech bubble, a decline that took around 15 years to recover from. One wonders how much more exponentially higher it can keep climbing. And that really is a sage observation, Michael. And also those of you that are kind of go and maybe have accounts elsewhere, or lusting after what the index returns have been recently, we've been very cautious, as you know that most index funds are now chock full of the sort of tech names that blew NASDAQ up back around 2000, and I think probably will again soon. All right, so that's last thing is Kim, who, as you know, is our chief technical analyst on the investment portfolio board. We had a really, really good portfolio board meeting this week, and really exciting stuff, particularly in the Camarda Tactical Opportunity Fund that she runs. And hopefully we can entice a video and some stock updates out of her next week after she enjoys her lovely 20th anniversary weekend. Thank you so much all for suffering through that very long video. God bless you all. Stay safe, warm and well. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.